going, pulling people.
I don't know, I remember if I think Hubbard might be a nice place.
What are the foundations?
Right in the middle of the parking lot. All right, we'll go for the 500.
No, because the bungee boats might hit somebody's car.
Oh.
But no, actually, I would think a kayak launch would be even nicer amenity to have. Although if you have, the more amenities, the more parking you need, so I don't know.
People find it.
Is there, like, from people on Morris, that there have been complaints about the overflow of Hubbard parking lot?
I haven't taken any calls.
It's not too big.
I know, I don't
It's just
think
like a big, it's.
Maybe we should wait for our parking
Yeah.
study
Right,
to
that
come
is a
out.
very good point, yeah.
It's not-
The parking utility could also fund that, couldn't it?
Well,
I mean, we have
There's
a,
we sell that lot for overnight parking.
Oh, we do?
Oh.
I think I saw that budget last year, right?
Yeah.
It was in the utility.
It's an incidental use of that lot, so I would not characterize that as a candidate for purchase from a parking utility.
Right, so we have a lot more money in, what?
It was talking about parking too.
Oh, we have a big increase in DPW facilities, and I know we're gonna be looking at that
What is
this
that?
year.
What is that for?
It's for the wall, the lot, the salt shed, and the yard, it says right.
I know, but that, the wall, okay. So the wall's a retaining
I had to
wall.
make it smaller print to fit in
Uh-huh.
here.
And what's the lot? I just don't know what that is.
Parking lot.
As part of the, I believe you had requested, I don't remember exactly when, but in addition to having us look at a mill and overlay plan for the southeast area, there was some request that we review all of the village's parking areas. So we did that, and, well, you could say that the DPW lot, yard, is the biggest, and it's also in by far the worst shape. So we have $200,000 worth of parking lot in that number.
And that's just the,
I'm
that's just
not,
Yeah,
you know,
is
it's
it
an
staff
identified,
parking?
no,
It's
it's,
customer parking?
well, yes, it's the staff parking lot, but then also the yard, the paved yard area.
Okay.
oh, so it's not just the parking
Yeah, I
area,
see.
it's, yeah, okay.
Right.
So,
And just so that you are aware, we are going to have to take some action on a section of that. Our, the yard is actually we have a conditional closed HECFA site.
what is that? Something with oil?
Yes.
Yes. Have you read the report? It's really bad.
It's an EPA, it's like a superfund
Right,
type
yeah.
location.
In our yard?
Yes, our yard. Gasoline, oil contamination
From a long time ago.
long time ago.
Okay.
But one of the conditions of that closure is that we maintain a catch to keep rainwater from infiltrating into that contaminated soil.
Okay.
We received notice that we're violating that closure because we don't have a cap, because the asphalt is in such poor shape that it is letting water drain into and through that field.
Isn't it not just the, I apologize, when I read it, the last two consultant reports, it's not only the asphalt, but all of the pipes that drain this crap are clogged. I don't know what the pipe's called, I could look it up, it was like a 5-page report, but that they're clogged, and therefore the conclusion was all the oil is spilling right directly into the river. So I just, if that's the only thing we got notice of, and there's some other
Well, that's been
component.
corrected, because they would not allow
Okay.
that to continue.
Okay.
So that was the condition for correction.
That makes
So I
sense.
guess, can you point this out, when are we going to
It's our field trip.
DPW?
A week.
Yeah.
Okay, can you, well, I'd love to see the.
Well, there's really nothing to see. I mean, there's monitoring wells
Well, that's-
there, but there's nothing to
I'd never heard
see.
about this before, so you learned something.
It would be good to probably read that 5 or 7-page report just before we walk
Well, I
over
found
there.
2 boxes on it in the village manager's room in the basement, so I'll make sure. I'd be happy to share.
It's
It was on the site
It's online.
closure.
I read it online, on our website. So,
Yeah.
this has to be, so what you're saying is that's all tied into yard and lot, or tied together?
If
Yeah.
you could,
I
tell me
will.
where you found
Yeah,
that.
what
It was on our
report?
website.
Do you know what report it's in?
It's the 7 years ago, I don't know if it was Zimmerman, but we had 2 consultant reports done on the DPW yard.
Facility.
Oh, that
Yeah,
one.
That's not,
General facilities.
That was the broad brush
Yeah,
Yeah,
that doesn't
because
address
like-
the PECFA issues.
Right,
That
that's why I asked about
addresses just stormwater management on the site.
Well,
That's what I was talking about.
Yeah,
That
but
those are
that's
all-
a totally different.
And they haven't been remedied, have they?
No.
I'm more concerned environmentally,
Right,
that's why I'm
no,
asking not
it's,
if
you
it's in
know,
order or
there,
not.
there's storm sewer that drains our yard that we could probably improve. But that
So-
has no relation to PECFA or oil.
Right, not the order,
Rebecca, can
okay.
you put the reports relating to the yard in the Dropbox for
Yeah,
this
so we
week?
can,
You bet.
Okay, great.
that'd be excellent.
I'm sorry, Mike, go ahead.
Does this include, I mean, at the Greenway meeting last week, there was some discussion of some green structure retention coming off that huge parking lot. Is that part of the plan? Is some capturing some of the stormwater coming off that site? Filter?
At the Greenway meeting,
Well, we
there
had-
was
we had talked
discussion of
about
our
how
public
much-
works yard.
Yeah, a little bit. No, just the water flow down the bluff. There's a lot of water flow
Yeah.
coming out, seeping out of those bluffs right below
Mhm.
the parking lot and stuff, and there was some just thought maybe it's the volume of water flowing off the lot and where it's going. I'm just wondering, we think
Yeah, I
about the
don't-
lot, is there some stormwater
Absolutely.
controls and green
Yes.
structure we can
There are
put in there?
multiple
Okay,
opportunities
yeah,
for
I
that.
just,
Is that in relation to the plant management on the bluff? Are you talking about that?
just, yeah, and the bluff structure, stability of the
stabilizing the bluff.
stabilizing the bluff and stuff.
Right.
And can I ask another
I
question? None of
had
these
a
are related.
question, so, I mean, I mean, it's good to have these placeholders in here, but, I mean, if we do think about a yard somewhere else, I mean, I suppose there'd be a cost there too, but I just wanna throw that out there, if we do lease someplace nearby and do like a more efficient yard, you know?
I don't think any of us are suggesting that this is something that you necessarily wanna put near the top of your priority list, but you asked us to identify those costs, so they're
Yeah,
included here.
Okay, thanks.
And when will we get into, discussion, maybe it's during our tour, but of looking at other sites, maybe not in the village, but potentially right outside of Milwaukee?
August sixth.
August sixth, okay.
Does anyone
People are thinking about it, right?
Does anyone have other questions about the yard? Does anyone
The
have
salt
any other
shed.
questions about the yard?
I do with the salt shed, because it keeps getting pushed off, so I just wanna make sure, are you pretty confident that it's in here for this year, whatever year it's in, that that's the year we would replace it? Because I know for the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, we had to do roof repair, so
Right.
we're not in imminent danger of collapse at this point anymore.
Okay,
we're,
so it can be pushed off.
we bought ourselves some breathing time.
And we have salt in there? Every year that was the problem?
We have salt
Okay.
squeezing out of the eaves.
Excellent.
All right. Okay, phase 2, police facility garage. I think I finally come around to grudging acceptance that that's what it's gonna cost, even though we asked for lower cost options, but what do other people think?
Well, I think, just to be clear, is it 750? It was 500 last time, so that's what you had said last plan, so it's been moved up to 750.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I think the cost for a right-sized parking structure or garage was similar, so I feel comfortable. I don't wanna overbuild because I'm more concerned about it's not a cost thing for me, it's more concerned about reserving the space for future use. So I'm okay with 750.
And the line below it is 500 for
That's
the,
new.
the community.
Mm-hmm.
Is
That's a
that-
community space.
And that's,
It used to be in the
is that
750.
estimate, is, like, do you know that that's?
No.
We have never
We
really
don't know the
gotten to
size yet.
we have never really gotten to the point where we've identified like what use would go in there.
Rebecca's gonna provide a memo on the cost, correct? Follow up?
An update based on questions that came up at the last meeting. But from my understanding, and maybe you can just confirm this for me, but you've never, the village has never really contemplated what the additional space would be.
But the size has changed significantly. So, meaning it originated at 5,000, if you look at the plans, and then it went down to like 3,000 square feet. Now with this garage, it's changed, if you made the garage, so I think that'll have an impact on cost, but you're correct, I don't think there was ever a use for
You know,
it.
Mark?
Yeah, I mean, over the years I've been here and talking with everybody, That residual space labeled community room, because it presented a lot of interesting opportunities. The lowest cost number I've ever heard, because that requires additional HVAC work, sprinkling system, bathrooms, the lowest number I've ever heard was $500,000 to make that open to the
That's the only
public.
number I've ever heard, is 500,000.
I've heard numbers that exceeded that depending on what kind of uses you wanted to
Oh, I see.
put there, but just as, per se, public meeting room space, so that's why I added that number in there at that level. It's a placeholder number just for context, and then,
Can I, but so when you're adding up, I asked for the original cost, that 500,000 was included in the original estimate. Now it's phase one took up more money than we expected, phase two is gonna take up the rest of that money. So now it's an extra cost, but I want the new trustees to understand that it was never an extra cost, it was always in the original
I
budget.
don't think it was in the original.
I was on
think
the
it-
public
no,
safety committee.
No, 1 and 2 were in, this
Yeah,
was
the
always
actual.
3.
The estimate, I said, for
I don't think it was not in the 1.8.
all right, I'll find it and I'll email it to you.
Does it matter though?
Does it?
I just want to be accurate.
Well, I think it's kind of a placeholder because we don't really have
Yeah,
a
we
use
know.
at this
Right,
point.
it's just,
Yes,
So at the last meeting, we had a resident inquire as to what the village has done to look to plan for that remainder of space, which is another reason why I was kind of curious, because it's just been put on there as a placeholder community room without really identification of what. And that's okay too. Do you, as a group, have a desire to look at that, or do you not? And I'm not asking for any motivation other than, I'm not sure what conversation was had before, wanna.
I mean, I think, when we had a conversation before, I remember asking the prior village manager, for just some overall space studies. I mean, I don't see there's real space needs at Village Hall. DPW, is kind of separate, so I mean, that leaves the senior center, and the health department, and I'm not sure what the hell, so if that, or the schools in some way. I'm going on a tour, Cedarburg has like a youth kind of after-school cafe kind of place that is staffed,
Oh,
like
that
by the
sounds
rec
good.
department, but people have said they don't think the youth are gonna wanna be right next to the police
the
station.
police station.
So that kind of rules that out,
So-
so
Well,
I
they
mean,
could go to the village center and
but I
then
think
move.
but I mean, it would be great if we had like just general sort of thoughts on space planning or where we might need additional space. But I mean, I've always thought it would just be like a community meeting room, and then it has been brought up as a possible place for elections rather than the church. Yeah.
My interest in community room has always been, it started with it was in the budget, the total budget, and I was like, all right, that's great, we'll have extra space we can utilize for meetings or whatever. But as time went on, we need revenue, and so my new thought over time has been, it's space that we can rent out to a partner, to one of our community partners, if over time we need it, or we can move one of our facility, like you were mentioning, if the library wanted a team bedroom like Wauwatosa has, or whatever you're doing to a tour. That analysis, we have somewhere to move, the historical society so we just don't have any space we have no revenue generation by renting space, and we also have no space if we internally needed to shift places. So in my mind, there's not a use at the moment, but that's very valuable to have for the village. So I don't
I
have
mean, if
anything
there
in
was
mind
someone
at the
who
moment.
would lease it and pay us for it, that's.
So that's kind of the question, I guess, that I had, because, so the design and the build out of the space is dependent on the use.
Right.
So you need to know the use in order to know what your costs are. Would someone be willing to pay for that to get built out?
Not at the moment.
Well, I'm just, and do you have a desire to ask? So we're not in the best forecasting business, but like if we put a proposal out there, like, is
Right.
this of interest to someone?
Oh, I see.
Like from the development board, or ask the CDA to say, can you
Yeah.
go, like the people who, right? Like do like a proposal to kind of like vet something like that, to know. The only thing that kind of gives me pause is that, and the project's great, I have no, and I'm by no means trying to delay it, but I don't wanna miss the conversation. You know, we would have to sprinkle the garage portion, but we don't sprinkle the rest of the building, but would need, or would necessitate change likely with a significant change in use in that space, because that's a change from the original use of the
Right.
building. For example, if we're gonna, gonna lease it to someone else for office, I don't know what the market is out there for
Yeah.
someone who would want to have that space. I mean, maybe a business would really find that desirable to be in that space, maybe they wouldn't, but at least then you would know.
You're talking about the private sector.
Yeah, because we all,
Yeah, there was
because
more nonprofits.
to your point, President Rozek, everyone talks about space that they want, but I'm like, I'm not sure everyone understands the dollar amount that goes with
Right.
that.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so I think through listening to this board, it's been my impression, so you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, that you don't wanna go and spend money on doing something like this unless there's either a partnership or a revenue stream that would go
Or
with
a
it.
need for us.
Or a need for us,
Right.
right? Right now, I don't see a need for us. The one area that we've said, we would be receptive to seeing moved is the health department. The health department doesn't have capital funds to build out space.
Right.
So I also don't see from a business perspective, you guys saying, I'm gonna commit to a $500,000 build out to benefit all the Southern North Shore communities and
Oh,
pay
correct.
for it,
Right.
right? But so, and I'm just sharing, I just wanna make sure that we've been
Right.
engaged in the conversation. It's just something that, I don't know if the CDA would have a willingness to do, but like, okay, let's use when I think of like aligning best resources to try to get answers on different things, maybe that's an
Yeah.
option, maybe it's not.
I wonder too, the schools are gonna be doing some major construction efforts over summers, at multiple buildings. Maybe it would be like staging space that they might wanna pay us for.
Oh.
And my other thought was just for